But you have to understand, my life was defined by moments where people were like, what are you doing? Why are you acting like that? Who are you? ¿Qué pasa? And I'm like, no habla.
Exactly.
Like literally, like
no hablo.
The color of my skin is confusing to everyone, not just white people. All right, you guys ready?
Validation,
baby. So this is actually really exciting for us. The people watching or listening wouldn't really necessarily understand, but we've been prepping for this for months. This has been an incubated idea for months. We've been putting in the pre-production, production, scheduling, and I'm so happy to finally say welcome to the inaugural Mixed Edition podcast. Episode 1, baby. I'm Sebastian.
I'm Dani.
I'm Sashel.
And we are going to talk about today, specifically, what the hell we are even doing here.
Yeah.
So, if you're new, which all of you would be, continue to check us out. Check us out on the YouTube. We do put videos up there that are exclusive to there, that you'll be able to see us do some crazy stuff. We eat snacks. We, what else do we do? Why
For
can
science!
Oh, yeah. I was like, why can I only think of eating snacks? Okay. I'm so hungry. All right. We do a lot of crazy stuff. We're mad scientists. We do some debates. We do all kinds of crazy stuff. So go and check us out on YouTube if you haven't. But for right now, welcome, come in to Mixed Edition. Now, that name, Mixed Edition, will tell you right off the bat, me and Sashel are mixed. Culturally, racially.
What a surprise!
Mentally, we're mixed. So
we're all mixed. We're all mixed up.
Have a lot of conversations, and I'm sure a lot of people who share our racial profile do go through, no matter what mix, just a mix of two cultures, no matter what that mix is. And we always talk about how, kind of, you don't feel belonging to either one, but you do love things about both. And kind of how confusing it can be to have parents who really don't understand that understand that place of being.
Yeah. Or really even have a society that understands that.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what we're here to talk about. That's kind of
right, because a lot of people have my experience where I woke up in the box that I was supposed to be in, and it kind of all made sense.
And then someone came up to you and was like, hey, that box looks a little small there, bud. You should bust down some walls and open it up a little bit. And you were like, you can do that? You can do that? Yes, you can, Dani.
And hence we are here today.
Right. So today we're not going to regale you with any of our racial woes. That's not necessarily what we're here to do. I genuinely feel like this podcast came to birth in a place of love. Like, we don't necessarily complain about the things that we don't get because of the culture loss. We genuinely talk about what we do gain by not necessarily having a whole culture. We've kind of come to understand and love and enjoy building and cultivating the culture inside ourselves as individuals. And it's 2021 now. I think it's a conversation we should all be having. So we're going to mix this up, and we're going to talk about how we can build ourselves and we can build each other through this community, hopefully through this podcast, and build culture individually. Stop thinking of it as one thing, one culture, another culture, and start thinking of it individual culture, what you can build yourself upon.
Yeah, when you do that, you have the potential to access an infinite number of possibilities.
That's kind of like the main thing, though, right? Like, you get to experience everything. You get to experience so many different things. And, what is life except for experiences that lead to more experiences? you know, like then you die. Like,
right?
Why wouldn't you?
But also, I think that individual culture brings another aspect where you really, even if you don't accept something as your culture, you can at least learn something about your fellow man that does accept that as his or her or their culture.
Exactly.
And then ignorance is no longer the issue.
And I think the humanity can do with a little less ignorance.
I agree and multiply.
Yes.
Right. So that's kind of the main topic for today, guys. It's just the mission statement of Mixed Edition. And if you do choose to join us as a community, as a podcast, as listeners, as contributors, because, you know, comment section, we really want to learn. We are not the smartest people on the planet. We're gonna say dumb things. We're gonna say stupid things. But hear me out. Teach us. We'll all learn together, man. Let's do this because you know what? On YouTube they say you can't. In life they say you can't. But here, let's try. Let's do our little experiment here, and we'll see if we can mix up some good ass culture. Some of that good culture. Some of that fried chicken and gumbo culture. Sorry, now I'm really hungry. If you guys don't know yet.
Fairly, do you need to eat something?
We'll be fine. I'll just keep talking about food every once in a while.
I love hearing about food. Yeah. We are going to be actually getting into different foods here as well eventually. So you guys should check that out.
I mean,
that's on the channel.
Right.
The YouTube channel.
Not only on the YouTube channel, but if we do it for a podcast, that's like so far into the future. But we love you, Dani.
Good effort, Dani.
Yeah, we love you. We love you so much. Thank you for being here. And actually, like, on the topic of Dani being here, because I know a lot of people out there on the internet are going to see us as a group and be like, why? Like, I get it. Why? I'm going to get out ahead of it, and I'm going to tell you my reason for why I love having Dani here. And it's Dani is a genuine person who wants to learn. She didn't always know. And when I first met her, and when Sashel first met her,
the ignorance was real.
It was real, but it was never hate. It was all love because
never malicious.
Genuinely wanted to learn. And honestly, even though we were born mixed, and came up with the idea of it and whatnot, Dani is ultimately what we want this channel to do.
I'm trying my best to mix it up as well.
Right. Yes. Mix it up. So when we started talking about this, because like I said, me and Sasha have a lot of conversations about just the good and the bad of, you know, being mixed or whatnot. It was like maybe a year ago actually upon release of this, maybe like a year and a half ago when we were sitting in LA visiting Sashel, because she lives there now. That's why we're doing the Discord thing. If you haven't figured that out yet, 3,000 miles and a multiple time zone difference. We
mixed time zones, mixed locations.
Mixed locations, mixed people. We got the mixed bag, people. That's why
we got it all.
But when we started talking about this, we literally just were like, yo, like we have so many conversations that talk about like directly, like, man, I hate this about this culture, but I love this about this culture, and I wish that I was accepted by this culture, but I kind of don't like the fact that I'm accepted by this culture. And then I just was like, dude, like, how ignorant is this conversation though? Just because, like, it's just us. Like, what experience do we really have with culture? Like, we have our unique experiences, otherwise we wouldn't be able to make a podcast. But I am genuinely interested, man. Like, if there are mixed people out there that feel the same way, or if there are mixed people out there that don't feel that way, or if there are people out there that aren't mixed that feel the same way. Like, like I'm genuinely interested. Like, what is your experience? Like, tell us, what is your experience being a mixed culture, having an individual culture that is cultivated multiple cultures? What's it like for you? Is it hard, or is it easy? Like, do you see things progressing, or do you see things kind of declining? So with that said, we can now start talking about the good and the bad of being mixed and living with a mixed person and not necessarily understanding what that's like. Sashel, would you like to start? Because I feel like we're gonna agree with each other's statements.
You're right. Well, first I want to start talking about, so as a whole, I mean, growing up in America, I think lends itself to this kind of conversation because as a whole, tell me anyone, what is American culture?
Right.
Can you define it? Because I can't.
Not.
I could tell you my experience of what American culture is, but
and that's what
totally
it is, your
different.
Experience.
Yeah, it's totally different. So when people are like, "Oh, you're stealing this culture," or like you're not allowed to do that, I'm just like, why? Is it not like? Right. Is it not part of American culture to be able to basically take whatever culture we want?
Like I agree on the spicy bit, and I also agree just like on the lesser level of just American culture is mix of cultures. Like that is American culture. You know, like if you had to define it in some way, it's a bunch of cultures mixed together. That's what
I agree. And then to go back and like now people are trying to separate things again. After it's already been integrated, it's really hard to separate something back out.
Can't
like,
we
sorry,
all just eat cheeseburgers
we already mixed
together.
Yeah,
this is America.
Everyone likes pasta, all right?
Right.
Like,
right.
Sorry, Italy.
sorry, Mom.
Italy.
Sorry.
Like, and pasta wasn't even originated in Italy.
Oh,
I
God.
believe the first.
I thought that was pizza.
Okay, just I'm gonna drop a disclaimer.
China.
I'm gonna drop a disclaimer right now because I know I already said that we're dumb, but I'm just gonna do one more disclaimer.
Yeah, we might say random things like that.
It's also not backed by facts.
It's not. Pasta could be Italian, but in Dani's world, in Dani's mind, in her culture, it's not. So if it is, please educate her and us. Where did pasta
come from? And if it's not,
and if it's
let
not,
me know.
Yeah, please let me know. Because as far as I know, pasta obviously has huge ties to Italy.
Right.
But noodles are huge in Asia.
I agree, but I didn't say ramen.
Right. Like, are you comparing ramen and see? This is what we talking about, people.
Ramen and spaghetti.
This is what we talking about.
Are two different things.
It is my failure. I consider it my personal failure that my girlfriend compared those two.
No, you're right.
Time out.
Ramen is.
You cannot put pasta sauce on ramen.
No.
Blech.
No. Oh, that would.
They're not even made from the same things.
Yes, I know this. That's why I'm just
rice noodles
versus
wheat noodles.
I think noodles first came about, if I had to guess, and now this is what this podcast is. We're just guessing. If I had to guess, I think pasta originated wherever the main food for the people living in that region was like soup. That would be the original pasta. Now, the reason why I would say not ramen is because if you think about it, like for all of history, ramen existing for all of history, why the hell didn't more cultures use noodles like that? Why are the noodles so different somewhere else? I think the isolation of Eastern Asia in history stopped ramen from being the original noodle. I think it was somewhere else that was like, yo, we eat a lot of hot water and stuff.
So I just consulted my super great friend Oogle.
Oogle. Yes.
Burger.
Dr. Oogle says noodles originated in China, but noodles, disclaimer, noodles is not what I was talking about. I was talking about pasta.
Right.
Which is Italy, yo.
Which is Italian, yo.
I'm sure that there was some form of a dumpling that turned into a noodle at some point.
Right.
That actually, no, we should.
Guys, we have a podcast. Let's get this out there. Somebody out there, take dumplings and make noodles out of them. I will give you all my money. Dumpling noodles. Give me. Yes.
You can totally
amazing.
do that. What do you mean?
No, I mean like take the actual dumpling, like with all the stuff in it, and like just somehow make that into a noodle and then put it in a bowl and give it to me. And I'll give you, here's my money. Take my money.
Some bites taste like noodles. Some bites taste like meat. Some bites taste like onion. Some bites taste like spice.
I will clarify what I said, and I did not mean a filled dumpling. I meant something more akin to what you get like when you put flour and water together.
I just
like a glob of pasta, like gnocchi.
Yeah,
like gnocchi.
Yes, like gnocchi.
This conversation, though, can
dumpling.
I just say, is the perfect introduction to our listeners. Who the hell we are?
What are we talking about?
Listen, life is experiences, man, and these are ours. Where did pasta come from? All right, so.
But back to the point. Yeah, I like pasta.
I like pasta.
And no one can tell me that I'm not allowed to like pasta because I'm from a different culture.
Has that happened to you?
Yo, you don't know the weird things that have happened to me, but let me tell you.
That's what we're here for. Tell me.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Oh, shit.
When I talk, okay, so my family is Jewish a little bit and Russian a little bit. Like, we have all the things, but there's the one thing that I am not is Irish, okay? And guess what my favorite sandwich is? My favorite sandwich is a Reuben. Now.
This is news to me that Reubens are Irish.
Why do you think they're so popular? Corned beef and cabbage is like...
Truth.
Super Irish.
And what is sauerkraut but cabbage and vinegar?
Yeah, fermented cabbage.
Right.
So either way, even if Reubens are not Irish, which I think they are, they're Irish, Scottish, something from the UK.
They're your favorite.
And it's my favorite. I also really do like corned beef and cabbage. But growing up in upstate New York, where there are a lot of Irish people, and I am very not Irish,
what?
People would actually comment on that. They're like, why? Like, how is that your favorite thing? How have you even ever tasted that? Like, and I was like, does your family only make things, like, only food from your original culture? Because mine doesn't.
Hell no.
Because mine doesn't. My mom's like, try all the food.
All the food.
But the thing is they were like, that's surprising. I expected you to like fried chicken.
Fucking, which is skull
quite,
emoji.
It's like it makes me so bitter when you get those things where people are like, oh, you must like watermelon or fried chicken or grape Kool-Aid. And it makes me even more mad that I really do love watermelon.
Right.
And now I have to be like careful
right.
about how much I like watermelon because I get super judged on that. And that's the thing people don't understand.
Honestly, I think there is a large majority of people out there that would understand this specific
it just
point.
makes me so mad.
Like every black person in America has gone through this at one point. But I'm just saying, man, like I have almost the inverse problem because I grew up Italian. Like my mother is Italian and just an Italian family. I had a stepfather who was Italian, and the food definitely had Italian roots, but we definitely explored. It was Italian American. Are we frozen?
A few moments later.
There it is.
Okay, so you say, sorry, can you restart your entire story? Because
yes.
You said, I'm Italian.
Okay, I was kind of going off what you were saying when people kind of expect your cuisine to be more African-American oriented, that I grew up Italian as hell. Like, my mother was Italian. I had a stepfather who was Italian. So, like, eventually, the cuisine, though it had Italian roots, did expand outward to soul food and whatnot. Like I did connect with my black family and like I started kind of eating that culture's food and loving it, but I hated chicken wings. I've amended
Sorry,
this. Hey,
do you know where you live?
Right, for the people watching, I have amended this mistake, okay, in recent years. But when I was younger, I hated the greasiness. I hated the mess of eating chicken wings. And I hated hot sauce. Like I hated it. It was gross to me. So then black people, I would be around black people, I'd be around black family, I'd be around just, people who there is chicken being passed and it is of the fried variety and you are offered to take some and I would politely refuse because they poured hot sauce all over it and I'm like, they're like, what, you don't like chicken and hot sauce? And I was like, no. And then all of the sudden, I get to experience the experience of being black 1 second and then not being black in a room full of black people. Because it just like, you're like people telling you what you should like to eat and what is just them not necessarily knowing your background. Like I don't assume anyone will eat anything. Like I don't look at someone and go, oh, that person definitely eats watermelon and fried chicken, or that person definitely eats cabbage stew and fucking Cuban Rubens.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing I don't understand is like I understand where like certain cultures you grow up eating certain things and therefore you might be like more receptive to those things.
Right.
But also like I love Asian food. And to be honest, I would never have known unless I tried it as an adult because my mother never made anything of the Asian variety. She made a lot of European types of food.
That's crazy.
And so I found out what I liked. But
Dude,
I mean,
my mom's the same way.
Yeah, apart from like ordering random Chinese food.
That was it.
I gotta give props to my parents because they loved Asian food. And that's how I got introduced to it because they would be like, it's sushi night. Dude, it's ramen night. To this day, when I'm like, Mom, Korean food, she's like, where is the Korean restaurant in Buffalo that's awesome? Because we have to go there and experience that food.
I can tell you. But it's on Evans, by the way.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, even as much as my parents did expand my culture and help me be open to different cultures, which I'm really, really grateful for, they didn't expand it as much as I would have liked because now I'm still, as an adult, like finding all these new interesting things in different cultures that I love.
Right.
I could have totally
been
been incorporating them into my life. Like I just like them. It's just things that make me happy.
It's really funny to me hearing Dani's experience just because like I think that I've been known to preach, but I'm not a preacher. Right? So when you think about the culture of eating out versus the culture of getting a meal cooked for you, I think that culture plays a huge part into that. I had home cooked meals for we would go out to eat. Don't get me wrong. We would go out to eat, Outback Steakhouse, freaking IHOP, but it was more about like the meal at home, like the cooked meal at home. And I know a lot of black friends who have the same experience where you have recipes that have just been passed down for years and years, and then when you cook every single day, like you cook the stuff you cook the things so like I feel like it just kind of comes down to that culture of my parents not necessarily like ever being like, let's get sushi, until I was like freaking, I don't even know, I think I was like 19,
like a full-grown adult,
right? Yeah. But my dad did give me fried octopus when I was a kid. Like he would dabble me, but it was mostly an Italian food like palate with American mixed in. And it baffles me that kids, like there are kids out there that grew up like, oh, I love sushi. I have my favorite sushi place down on this street. It baffles me just because like when I was a kid, I'd never had any choice. This might be an Italian thing. I never had any choice in what I eat. Like they put it on the table. It's their house. It's their money. You eat it. You don't like it? Too bad. Don't eat.
Yeah, my mom was very much like that too, not taking dinner votes.
Right.
She was like, "Oh, you're hungry? Here. This is what you get.
Right.
It will fill you up."
So that is kind of like a difference in culture a little bit there. Just
Totally different. And dude, I've never had to be careful eating watermelon.
That's fair.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. I'm over
true.
here like at the picnic,
That is
like
a delicious summer snack for everyone.
I agree. But if I
Same.
go to a picnic and I put watermelon on my plate, inevitably I will make eye contact with someone and they will just be like,
right.
and
Right.
you're aware of it. You're aware.
Yeah.
It's really awkward.
Anything purple in your cup, and it's just
Oh my God. Never.
clear
never.
cup. Excuse me. Do you have any plastic cups that are not clear? You know, so I can drink
Give
my
me a red
purple
solo
drink.
cup, please.
Can I drink my
In
purple drink
peace. In peace.
in peace?
In peace. Right.
Right.
It's like weird. Like, why? So, not only is culture something that we self-impose, so we're sitting here saying, "Oh, this is the only this is the culture that I have,"
Right.
but other people are superimposing it onto us as well.
Right.
So they're like, "This is the only culture you're even allowed to have."
Right. And that is definitely
You
the
can
negative.
choose within this narrow spectrum of things that is acceptable for you. And I really hate that.
Yes. I feel like that's the negative too, and kind of this is for Dani too. I don't think we've ever talked about this. That is definitely a heavy negative of being mixed, is because the way I speak, and I'm gonna get out ahead of this right now. I have code switched in my life. I've done it.
As have I.
I have done it. Listen, man.
Forgive.
I have.
Forgive.
I forgive you. Please forgive me. Because honestly, it's more about feeling like you belong than it is about trying to prove something. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not so much external validation, but it's more just like being comfortable
Right.
in a situation.
For as many people as possible.
Right. But
Yeah.
the negative, going off what Sashel just said, the negative about being mixed is the superimposing of cultures onto us by the cultures we belong to. Like,
oh my God.
like
Thank you. Yes.
I have Italian family members who are like, oh, did you bring the hot sauce? You probably carry it around. And I got freaking black family that's like, oh, where's your gabagool, your mozzarella? And I'm just like, bruh, like,
Can you not?
I want some of that damn chicken too. I grew up. I understand now. Give me some chicken. Like,
Yeah,
don't fucking.
I mean, I get that a lot as well, where people, so as you can see, my aesthetic is not what you would call urban.
To use their terminology.
Okay,
Urban.
that's my terminology to make me comfortable.
Right. Right.
Even so, like I switch it up when I go visit like certain people, but I don't belong
Right.
in. So to my black family, my natural aesthetic, the things I like to wear, the way I like to style myself is like me I'm trying to be white.
Right. Yes. Yep. I get the same
Which
thing.
is not the case.
No.
These are just clothes that I like. It's random.
And you look great. And I'm gonna say
And I
I'm wearing
think
a
it looks
fucking
good.
Hawaiian shirt and I look good. Like,
Yeah.
And
I
I'm wearing
think
a
it looks good.
Japanese toy from the 90s. And I look good.
Yeah. So like fashion is also something that plays a huge role. The way I speak.
yes. I
So
get that a lot.
when I talk to that side of my family, they're like, "Oh, so you're fancy with your school and stuff," and I'm like, "No, sorry that I got an education, and
Right.
I don't mean to offend, but
And that's
you didn't."
honestly, no, you brought up a good point, because I will challenge you that speaking articulately and white sounding is not a sign of an education. And I know you didn't say that, but like the people who impose that on you, like
But them saying I'm fancy for it.
The reason why we speak the way that we do is because when we were growing up, we would go into class and we would try and talk like our black classmates. I went to a very, very, to use your terminology, very urban early years, like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and my friends all talked like that, and I wanted to have friends, so I started talking like that, and then I moved to me, my brother, and two other kids were the only colored kids, period, ethnic kids, period, in the freaking whole school.
Which is the type of school that I went to.
And then I had kids come up to me and be like, why do you talk like that? Like, why would you talk like that? Why would you talk like that? And then after middle school, I went to a predominantly black high school where everyone's like, why do you talk like that? Why do you talk like that? So your speech is
all like,
so
what?
I literally speak however the well I please. Like
That's fair.
Dude, this is, people get mad at me for code switching, but listen up. Doing it a little right now. When I get worked up, when I get mad, when I'm by myself, alone, talking to no one, I code switch. I get mad. It's primal. I get that childlike part of my brain comes out. And when I was a child, I lived in the hood. I have that part of my brain still. That's still there. And it has nothing to do with the imposed culture. It has nothing to do with that. It's solely because I decided, and I'm sure Sashel at some point decided, fuck it, it's too much hard work to keep up. I'm just going to talk how I want to talk. And then
that's true.
If some people are around that I could get jive with, then I'll get jive. Like, okay.
But this is also, I want to make a disclaimer here that the way I'm speaking now is the way I am most comfortable speaking to anybody. To anybody.
Right.
Like, this is how I speak. I'll never be like, yo, what up, man. Like, that was cringy.
Right.
Like,
it's not in your nature. And I feel like people impose that on you. People expect one thing, and when they don't get that thing, it becomes uncomfortable for them. And that's the thing, man. Like, if I code switch in the company of someone who speaks, that's how they speak. I'm literally just speaking the language, and that I enjoy. I love that. But you have to understand, my life was defined by moments where people were like, what are you doing? Why are you acting like that? Who are you? ¿Qué pasa? And I'm like, no habla.
Exactly.
Like literally,
no
the color of my skin is confusing to everyone, not just white people. So like that's
it's literally everyone.
My cheekbones confuse everyone. Like, you're black? Thought you were Greek. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I get weird. Like, when my hair is straight, people are like, oh, are you Middle Eastern?
Right. I get that, the beard.
Are you Hispanic? You know?
But hey.
And I'm just like,
that's another thing that blows my mind. Because people always say, are you Italian? Yes. Oh, or maybe you're some sort of like European. I'm also that. Yeah, you nailed it. Oh, are you like Jewish? Yeah, got it. But are you also like predominantly American? Bruh, you looked at me and you got it right. Like, I've never had the experience that you're talking about.
Well,
yeah, I grew to hate the question, what are you?
I always just say guess. That's my literal answer.
Oh, my answer is always American.
There you go. We both like to switch it up on him, but I'm more of an asshole.
Yeah, I'm kind of a dick about it, but
it's kind of a dick question. So
I do want to bring up.
It is a dick question.
This is a great segue. Dani brought up a great point. To one of the main reasons we started this podcast was the fact that half of the culture that we claimed all of our lives is an unknown culture. Like, Dani was just able to say Italian.
I was literally able to say I'm Italian, and they were literally go, oh, Licata, your physical name lines up with what I think about.
If you asked her,
you make sense to me.
If you asked her, like, what part of Europe, she could answer you. She could tell you. If you asked her, like, oh, what are some traditions?
Mm-hmm.
She could answer you. But for me, I have my Italian family. To wit, all those things are true for me. I can tell you the traditions. I can tell you the lasagna for Christmas.
The spot on the boot where you're from.
The spot on the boot where you're from. I can tell you that. But also, if you were to ask me what part of Africa I'm from, what part, like where does that culture come from for me?
I don't even know that I'm African. I might be Jamaican.
Right. I have no idea. I have no idea. Now, we are rectifying this. Stay tuned for our YouTube channel because soon, at some point, if not season 1, then season 2, stay tuned. Ring the bell so you know. We're going to take Ancestry.com DNA tests. We're going to find out. But
we will.
In the meantime,
I'm so excited for yours. Mine's going to be boring because I'm literally going to be like, oh,
Actually, I think this is the thing about
white
people.
You might get something surprising.
Yeah, right. This is the thing about white people, though. White people are proud of the white that they are. They're proud of, like, the white that they are. So they're like, I'm Italian, I'm German, I'm English, I'm this. So when you think about it, when they are like, I am definitely Italian, I'm 100% Italian, my mom's Italian, my grandma's Italian, everything about me is Italian.
There was some mixing somewhere.
And there's, like, Hungarian in there. And you're like, how the fuck did that happen? Because time and history is not racist. History is not racist. People are racist. History is not racist. So,
well, it's because at some point, like,
it wasn't weird.
Places move, people move,
or something
like
bad
if someone. I'm just saying. Okay, for example, in many, we'll keep this G-rated. Many tribes from different countries decide to move to other countries.
Oh.
And then they procreate and they take on that identity of their new country. So now everyone's Italian, even though one of them kind of moseyed over across the border.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think yours will surprise you too. Ours will definitely be interesting. I think yours will surprise you too. But this is like kind of where I wanted.
I honestly can't. I will say I can't even do that for my European side very easily. I know that I have some Ashkenazi.
Yeah, Ashkenazi Jew.
That.
Glad we have the expert.
Yeah. Russian.
Not an
definitely.
Expert.
Hungarian.
Ooh. Well.
And Native American?
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
That's all over
the
place.
People told me my whole life. My mom's like, we're Italian, but then my grandma's like, we have German in us. And then my freaking dad, who I haven't seen in 20 years, is like, there's Native American in our family. And I'm just like, what's true? Like wait, what?
Yeah, I think my grandfather is Native American and German.
Right, like
maybe.
Question mark?
Also,
question mark.
Like, I don't even know if I am the things that I think I am because the information that I have has been passed down to me. And I love my mom so much, but she doesn't always have the most accurate information. She tricked me into thinking it was a smart car until I physically saw it and like, dude, that says smart car. And she's like, yeah, no. So she could have literally told me like, yeah, we're Lithuanian because she heard it.
Yo, the things Dani's mom says.
I'm stuck. I'm sorry. You guys all move forward. Smart car?
Smart
car?
And I believed it.
What? What's a smart?
Do you remember those little toy-looking cars that came out?
Yeah.
Oh, smart. I know what a smart car is.
Yes, I know what a smart car. What's a smart?
Whoever.
What is a smart? Answer this question.
Not a thing.
No, like what?
It is a.
Get your mom on the phone. I need to know what a smart is.
A smart is like when a little blue Smurf gets squished under someone's foot.
Smart. And they have cars, apparently. Okay, cool.
Smart.
We understand now.
And she thought it was funny, and I thought it was funny. But at the end of the day, she could.
So she's passing on false information.
Right.
So who's to say that isn't?
Right.
Along with how
the DNA don't lie, though.
Right.
We'll
I
find
agree.
out.
Right.
But also, I think that certain people, for example, some Jewish people, stopped saying they were Jewish. And that disappeared from their family history. The fact, so now people now might be Jewish and don't know because, down the line their family lied because Jews got prosecuted and it was not advantageous to be Jewish. So they might have just been like that and then completely gotten rid of all of the traditions and the culture associated
honestly,
with that.
And what you just said kind of opened my eyes a little bit because what I was just talking about, that robbery of culture, so to speak, by history, is not just a black thing.
It's not.
I obviously don't always think everything's a black thing. That's my perspective. That's how I see it. So then to be like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. There are probably a bunch of Russian, a bunch of Polish, a bunch of European Jewish people who literally just gave that shit up and don't ever speak about it. And then after a couple generations,
there were probably a lot of people who had those stereotypical Jewish features that weren't even Jewish.
Oh, that's a whole different.
Yeah,
whoa.
But some races do manifest more prominently in phenotype, such as dark skin.
Yes.
So it's hard to get rid of just by saying it isn't so.
Insert the Key and Peele sketch. I'm looking for any blacks. No blacks here.
But I was thinking it'll be interesting to get my ancestry because if I do find something random that I never knew, and I want to explore that, it is a part of me that I never even knew was there. So I used to be a server in a restaurant that would have banquets, and they always had this Jewish meeting. So this one church would have all these Jewish men come together and they would just kind of talk business and eat pizza. And when I was there, they and I got along really well. And they asked me if I was Jewish. And I said, yes, sort of. My mom is Jewish. My dad is not Jewish. But I was sort of raised Christian. And they were like, well, your mother is Jewish. Your blood is Jewish. You are Jewish.
You're Jewish. Yeah,
I felt
Jewish is maternal line.
Sense of pride for being included. And I think that has sort of been my experience for a while. But I've gotten to a place now where I'm I know that I come across as a basic white girl. And I have wanted so hard to not be that person. So for me, I'm in a place where I'm starting to find a balance and seeing beauty in accepting that part of myself, but also seeing that I'm a human. And seeing that, it is good to explore and to add other parts of myself and not just be a basic girl for myself. But then what's going to happen is if that starts to translate on the outside, I will start to experience what you guys have experienced because I do have the potential to no longer be recognizable to people who used to go, I got you. I know what you are and you belong. And all of a sudden they're going to look at me and say, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah, I want to say, flip coin to your story. From my perspective, I am also Jewish through my matriarchal line. So my grandmother is Jewish and my mother is Jewish. However, even if I told a group full of Jewish men that was the case, I wouldn't count as Jewish.
This kind of is perfect, because I want to ask you a question. So the exclusion from certain cultures just from a cosmetic standpoint also kind of leads me to want to talk about how black culture is the only culture that we ever talk about that is just a skin color related thing. And it's interesting because while you may be Jewish, and my question for you is, do you ever feel like when you are trying to kind of fit into a culture and they are kind of cosmetically not including you, do you feel in that moment like you're black? Like you are part of black culture? Does the exclusion from culture make you feel like you're black?
So, okay, I'm going to make a distinction about my personal terminology that I've come up with. There's a difference to me between black and colored.
That's news to me, folks.
Yes. So this is something I don't know if other people agree with me or not, but I think of black as strictly, like, in terms of America, African American. Now, Africans may also be black, but they are not black culture.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. When I talk about black culture, I'm not talking about African culture at all, because black culture came from and was like brought up by the lack of the knowledge of the African culture.
Yeah. So but black culture. So black culture is African American, but colored is maybe Middle Eastern, Hispanic, black, anything.
Obviously minority.
Obviously not white. Yeah. So do I feel colored in those situations? Yes.
But what I was specifically asking was, do you feel black?
I do not. It's not something that I don't have a strong tie to black culture.
Right.
Which is why I have a distinction like that, because
right.
I do kind of have a strong tie to colored culture.
Right.
Like I know what it means to be someone who is not white in America. But I don't necessarily know what it's like to be black. And that's partially because I am harshly excluded from the black community as a whole.
Right. And that's
I always have been.
That's the ultimate point I'm trying to make, is that black culture, specifically by your definition as well, black culture is a culture of exclusion. It is a culture that was bred strictly because of the exclusion from its parent culture and the culture of the place it exists. So now you have this identity that's being imposed on you because someone's like, oh, cosmetically, you're black, you're not Jewish.
But I will say the majority of people who expect me to be black are not black.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh,
yeah. And anyone who is black is like, nope, you're not black.
Nope.
So
right. But
so I don't know what to do about that.
That's the point, and this is actually like kind of a good like ending topic to kind of discuss. The fact that black culture is a culture of exclusion. What happens to the people who are excluded from black culture and excluded from the traditional cultures that are in place? Like, what happens now? What happens to us? Because
we come up with colored culture.
See, that's the thing. Colored culture.
I made up my own.
Color. Yeah, that's a beautiful point, and this is why we're here, people. This is why we are doing this podcast. Because colored culture is just another way of saying a melting pot culture. You are many cultures that you have experienced and lived and enjoyed your whole life brought together. Now, I challenge you guys. I challenge all of you. I challenge me. I challenge Dani. I challenge Sashel. I challenge everyone listening. Stop trying so hard. You can still be proud of where you're from, but stop trying so hard to express the culture that has been here forever. Join me on a mission.
Culture.
Your
imposed culture.
Join me on a mission to seek out, to improve, and to find our individual cultures. As people, as humans, let's create our own culture. Because you know what? If history can do it, we made history. What are we capable of? But okay, so we talked about a lot of like controversial things, but listen, it's an open-ended discussion. We have 0 listeners right now. We know that. But if we can get 1, 5, 10 people to start sharing their experiences, correcting our mistakes, that's how it has to be. But I really am looking forward to creating this community with you guys. of people who are all about strengthening their individual cultures and getting away from the preconceived notion that you have to be one thing.
Same. I want to express myself, but more importantly, I want to explore. I want to learn. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just want to say, I am so happy to have found people who are willing and able to let me step outside of my box. So instead of everyone talks about thinking outside of the box, we're going to actually try and step outside of that box in terms of culture and in terms of personal growth. And I just hope more people will join us on the journey and kind of open up more boxes like everyone else.
We'll put all our boxes together and make a house.
Yeah, we will
Stay
build
cultured,
something
everybody.
great. Stay cultured.